What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to Some Dungeon Defenders Awakened. Now, when it comes to Massacre mode and getting your in-game grind on, you're gonna want to be doing one of two things. That is either farming the Massacre Survival bosses for weapons or pets, or farming the highest difficulty Massacre Survival non-boss map for armor items, for giraffes, and miscellaneous items. Now, without a doubt, the highest loot multiplier in the game is on Glitterhelm. So Glitterhelm is the map you're going to want to farm, and we are going to pop right on into it here in just one moment and check it out. Now, I'm going to be bringing along a EV for buff beams, another EV for walls, a Traptress, a Monk for auras, and then in addition I am going to use a couple of DSTs just to make the map run a little bit smoother, and that is a look at my apprentice. Now, the stats that I'm in, obviously that's from actually already farming the map. However, this is the exact same build I started doing on this map, with probably about 1,000 to 1,500 lower main stat. So, for example, if you're at the point where you're approaching 6,000 main stat on your builder heroes, by all means hop on into Glitterhelm. You can probably actually do it a little bit lower if you get a little sweaty on it, but about 6,000 main stat is going to be a really good starting point to solo farm that map. So without further ado, let's hop on in and check things out. Now, one thing about Glitterhelm on Massacre Survival here is it is without a doubt all about the copters. In fact, it's all about the copters so much that there's actually only one ground ogre per lane. Now, with that in mind, if you're playing solo, of course, we've got two copter lanes, one over here and one over here. One of the easiest things we can do to help out our journey here is to automate one of the copter lanes. So I'm going to head on over to this lane, and let's pop down a couple of DSTs right here on top of the crystals. We'll go one on top of the big boy crystal, and we'll go another on top of that little crystal next to it. Now, obviously, those DSTs are going to do much, much better if we can get a little buff beam action on them. So let's go ahead and throw down a 4 DU buff beam as well, and that will automate that lane. Now, I am going to need some upgrades on it. Depending on your power level, you're going to have to decide how many upgrades it is for you. For me personally, it's a fully upgraded buff beam with 2 upgrades on each of the DSTs. If I do that right there, I can completely ignore that lane exists and just let those copters die. Now, we do need one more little thing to help that out, and that is right on the corner of the table down here. Let's throw down an Ensnare Aura just to slow the pace of the enemies. Now, we're going to go ahead and start off on this lane. We're going to go ahead and build it based off of that other Ensnare Aura we put down. And I'm just going to go with a full Aura stack right here. Now, the reason I went back a little bit and not right up close to the spawn is these Auras have got to cover the flyer lane too. So, of course, there are going to be flyers coming in here, and we're going to need those Auras to help us out. Now, we're going to go ahead and put a 4 DU buff beam. Or, pardon me, a 4 DU blocking field or wall down here. Now, remember, if you don't have an EV that's decked out, you can use your Squire walls, and in fact, it gives you an option, which is really, really nice, as there's really only one travesty that can happen on the map, and that is Poison Sirens and Poison Immune Sharkin. Now, to combat this, we are going to go ahead and put a 3 DU shock beam just right here, right on the little bridge. Now let's go ahead and tie all this together with a buff beam, and we are done with this lane. Now, this is the only lane we're going to be taking advantage of the shock beam on, as it's the only lane that, well, it's the most important lane that we would need to automate. Now, obviously, if you've got the extra DU, you can put a shock beam on that far lane over there. You could put another shock beam on that far lane over there. And that's just going to make the run much, much easier. However, these close lanes here just don't need it. I personally I'm never seeing Sharkin charge the walls here on these lanes. So I'm not going to bother putting that shock beam down. Now, the reason I'm putting my Inferno trap slightly in front is it is kind of the least valuable trap in the setup. With that in mind, I want to make sure that if a Jinn does get uppity and snags anything, I want it to be that Inferno trap. If the Inferno trap goes, I'm not going to lose the map. So I want to put the Inferno trap slightly in front, and then once again, we're going to tie it all together with a buff beam. Now, we're going to do most of our combat right here from this spot. So with that in mind, this is going to be our closest lane. This is also the lane we can kind of build the weakest. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse and repeat. Same old thing. Gas, Inferno, Ensnare, Electric, and Strength Drain Aura. Here I'm only going to put a 3 DU wall, as I'm going to just be right here. So I'm not overly concerned about this wall. I'm going to just be available to put DPS into this lane if need be. So we're going to tie all of that together with a buff beam as well. And then down here, now this lane could certainly use a shock beam. However, it's not 100% necessary when you're playing solo. The reason being is we are just going to have a really, really long killing zone. The enemies are going to start taking damage as soon as they come out of the spawn from this aura stack and that Inferno once it gets triggered, and they're going to have to take the damage all the way around the loop here until we get to our 4 DU wall that we're going to pop down right over here. Let's see, right about there looks good. And then as normal, we will tie it all together with a buff beam. So to make sure, if you're ever not really sure if your buff beam is hitting your wall, you can just inspect the wall and look and see if it has that armor value. If it has the armor value, it is GG's. Now with that other copter lane automated, this copter lane we're going to have to manual kill. So if you feel the need to, or if you feel like you're getting pushed, you can always throw an Ensnare Aura right here, and that's going to slow the copters down over here just crazy, crazy slow. If you want to bring them to a complete halt, throw an Ensnare and a Gas Trap, and those bad boys are just not going to move there. So that is an option as well. And then over on this lane, we're going to be doing basically the same type philosophy. We're going to be sharing the ground lane with the flyer lane. So we want to put the Aura stack just right on the corner here. We're going to go ahead and throw down a 4 DU wall right across the back here. We're going to get in a Gas Trap and an Inferno Trap. And then we've already got our Aura stack, so we're a good game there. All we need to do is tie it all together with a buff beam, and now we're in good shape. Now I'm going to be DPSing on my EVA and using the exact build that I was using on the Hero Spotlight I just made. So this is an opportunity for you to see old Robo-Girl in action. Now we've got 8,000 mana to spend. It would be silly not to spend it. I'm going to go ahead and throw, a couple of upgrades on the buff beams, a couple on the walls. It definitely would be beneficial to at least get one upgrade on your electric and your strength drain aura. And then we're going to just rinse and repeat the same thing over again. So let's go ahead and throw 3 on there, 2 on the walls. We'll go 1 on the electric, 1 on the strength drain. 3 on, actually I think I may have hit it 4 times, I did. 3 on the buff beam, 2 on the walls, 1 on the strength drain and electric. And then we've got 3,400 left. Let's get it spent and get this area jacked up as well. Now this is the second closest to where we're going to be fighting. So with that in mind, this area you can go without, upgrade this area just after that area, really. And then on this far lane, this lane is the most crucial, as I kind of got it so this lane is automated. I don't want to have to come down here at all. So I want to make sure the shock beam stays healthy. Let's go ahead and we'll hit that buff beam 3 times. We'll hit the wall twice. Let's go ahead and go 2 into the strength drain. We'll go 2 into the electric. That's going to leave us enough for one more. I think, ooh, let me not jump in the lava. I think we'll throw it right here on this Inferno just to get a little bit additional damage. Now, okay, so we know that we're going to have to DPS the copters on this lane. We just know that's a thing. We also know there's going to be one ground ogre. So looking at the setup, what is the worst thing that could happen? Well, the worst thing that could happen is poison immune sirens. If a poison immune siren comes on that bottom lane, it's automated, so we don't have to worry about it. Any of the other lanes, we're going to have to keep an eye on. So you're going to want to watch for where the ogre is at and where the poison immune siren is. But first things first, we have got copters to kill. So let's start mowing them down. So I'm starting off on the elemental, the fire damage. I want to basically save my proton charge for any ogre burning. So the copters do come out really, really slow now. So you're going to have to make sure you're patient. Let's just take a look around the map. We don't have any poison ogres. We've got, or poison sirens. We've got our main ogre, or our only ground ogre, is down on that lane below. And boy, I just really screwed the pooch on that one. Ideally, you are watching for those ogres. Let's just go ahead and mow these guys down. Luckily, the ogres are not going to hit the core, of course. So they can't damage the core. Nothing to really worry about there, but I am going to want to get them out of the way. So I'm going to burn these guys real quick before I switch over to the ground ogre. And we got more coming. Holy crap, I am just screwing this one up. I only had one job. Let me get this other copter down here. Jeez. Hopefully they all run down to that area. I think there's 2 more copters coming here. Yeah, here we go. So definitely don't get sidetracked like I just did. That is an example of what not to do, how not to play Dungeon Defenders Awakened right here, y'all. So that should be it for the copters. I'm going to go down here and put some work on these ogres now. Now I want to switch over to my physical weapon for the proton charge. And let's just burn this entire pack of bads all at the same time here. And it appears they're all done. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to fire. And let's head on over and take a look at our ground ogre and see how he's holding up. Now, that one is fire immune now, so I am going to have to switch back over to physical to be able to kill that guy. And it's actually perfect timing. I've got a really decent amount of mana. So let's switch over to our physical weapon and dish out the pain. Let's go ahead and take care of all these delphs while we're at it. And proton charge for the win. Gonna burn them, not only the ogre, but everything behind it, right on down. Now, while I'm down here, the smartest thing that I could do right at the moment is check on that shock beam. It is actually good. The wall is fine to hold up through the wave. So it is GG for that wave, really. All we have to do now is just burn down the rest of the bads. Now, you are going to want to keep an eye on that shock beam and any other shock beams that you may place. And the strength drain R's. As you see, my strength drain over here is just burning like crazy. We actually got a poison immune siren on this lane I didn't notice, but the way we place that wall, a sharkin will charge the wall and push it out of the way, but it's not going to move the wall. So all it does is just kind of slide it over to the side, and in that case we've still got perfect ogre coverage if the ogre would have been up here. See how we're holding up. Doing good. I think we got a gen up in here hiding, right? Or no, the gen is been evaporated. We're down to 100 mobs now, so looking pretty solid. I could have repaired that strength drain when I was all the way down at the bottom. It would have been the smart thing to do. Let's go ahead and just continue to put some work in and get all these bads burned out and hope that I get some really, really nice loot. I'm going to go ahead and just upgrade that while I'm down here, as I was going to upgrade it anyway. Let's see, let's hit the shock beam. Let's hit the ensnare and the electric. We'll hit that wall. And we'll hit the buff beam while we're down here. moving right along. Of course, we still do have 14 enemies, but, you know, take advantage of the time that you have, as you don't have to spend the whole time getting all sweaty and shooting on everything. You can let these last mobs die to your defenses. Crazy thought, huh? Nothing good there. I get excited when I see that up arrow, but it is just not showing us upgrades right at the moment. It's showing us all sorts of randomness. Now, this wall, I'm not going to bother moving it. I'm going to leave it right where it's at. Actually, it loses... Oh, I shouldn't have upgraded it. I'm going to move it anyway. I was going to say it's going to lose that buff beam if not. So let's go ahead and get it placed back. We'll get it right across. We're going to have to gather up a little bit more mana here. Hopefully there's some laying it, because we are going to want to get an upgrade on that wall, at least one. There should be a nice big puddle of mana sitting down here at the other side of the map. Let me go ahead and repair these two just so I can forget about them. And then let's go over and check out this side of the map. Now, the worst thing about playing the EV, you know, you guys know I'm stubborn as hell. I am going to force myself to love this EV. But my god, does she move slow compared to everybody else. That is for certain. So we're just going to get some repairs in here. Now, I don't know if you could catch it on the video, but the gen here, the shortest route is for the gen to come around this way. So the gen are going to come into here, and they're actually going to have a hard time targeting that Inferno without getting into all of this stuff. So I am going to go ahead and throw an upgrade on that Inferno while I'm here. And let's hit that buff beam as well. That leaves me 600. I can throw a couple of upgrades on that brand new wall and call it good. And see if I can't do a little bit better this time with the Copter Ogres. I mean, literally, you've got one job to do. So as long as you stay vigilant on getting these Copter Ogres burned down, it's just going to make your life so much easier. So let's go ahead and make sure we're switched back over to our elemental weapon. And let's see how we do. So, Copter's starting off a little slow. We see we got a Poison Siren on that far end. Oh, we got another Poison Siren right here. We see the Ogre is down into that bottom lane again. I'm just going to put a couple of shots into that lane, just to get a little damage on the Sharkin, and then get back over to doing my one job. See if we can't get this wave running a little bit more smoothly. It doesn't look like anything got pushed down on that poison lane down there, so I'm not going to sweat it. Let's just continue to burn these Copters down. See ya, spider? Did y'all see that spider suicide there? That was epic. We still got more Copters. Let's burn them up. Looking good, looking good. How are we holding up? That's a physical ogre down there now, so I want to keep the damage going on him. We got another Poison Siren right here. Let me put a couple more shots into the lane here real quick, just in case we have any Sharkin or anything up front. I could have swore there was another group of Copters. I'm going to chillax for a sec and make sure. Doesn't seem like all the Copters should be dead yet. I'm going to give it one more second before I run down there. I'll just keep shooting into this Poison Siren lane here. I guess that was it. I could have swore there was more Copters coming. Doesn't seem right, to be honest. Yep, looking like no more Copters this wave. Let's head on down here. Now, you're going to get zerged by Delphs. That's one of the huge benefits of the EV, is that decoy is just magic against the Dark Elf Warriors. There's just no doubt about it. Go ahead and pop our decoy right there. We'll get the Delph wailing away on it. See if we can't get this Ogre killed, though. That guy dead yet? Alright, Ogre down. And yeah, I guess that was it. No more Copters. Just seems to me like there's normally another couple of Copters there, but It's just amazing how much smoother the waves run when you actually do that one job that you have and kill those copters. Now, if you're playing 2-player, then of course get rid of those DSTs. That's going to free up 20 DU for you to use somewhere else. And park your second player right down there to manually kill those copters. And, I mean, what's better than a couple of DSTs on a buff beam? Well, another Huntress is without a doubt better, so... Or EV, or Monk, or anything for that matter. Monk would probably actually be the most ideal. That way you could, you could burn down those bosses together, or the ogres together. $12 left. Let's just go ahead and collect up, and we'll start up here with our upgrades. I'll just let those last few mobs just kind of do the slow burn here. Let's go ahead and just hit 1 on everything. Let's go ahead and get that Inferno as well. We got lots of juice laying here. Only 1 baddie left. How's this lane? I think this lane's pretty good, right? Let's see, we'll hit the, we'll hit all the stuff once. We've got the mana. Where is that baddie at? Oh, there it is. Alright, now the 2 lanes that your auras are covering flyers as well, you definitely want to pay attention to those lanes, sink some mana into them. That's just for sure. You can see that wall got beat up because of that poison siren. A Sharkin may not have got the push, but that wall definitely took some damage. No doubt about it there. But we got 2100 mana left. Only 1 more wave. Let's pop 1 more upgrade on that electric aura. And then we'll head on over to this side of the map. And see what we can do here. See, I'm not going to bother upgrading that wall, as it's just not taking any damage at all. How about over here? Over here, we've already got everything all upped. Only 300 left. Can I get, if I can get 400? Nope, can't get 400. Can't get any loot either, apparently. Let's get that shock beam squared away. And I guess that's it. We'll just call it good there. Can I get a 200 mana upgrade on anything around here? Doesn't really look like it, so I'll just hold on to that stuff. I'm on my elemental weapon. Let's get it reloaded. And it is GG here. So let's go ahead and get back on copter duty. We see we've got a electric siren. We got 2 electric sirens, so that is actually easy peasy for us. We do have the ogre really close at that ogre lane, and what's going to help us out there is I can kind of spam spray into him here while I'm waiting for more copters to come. So you're going to be able to get a little damage in if you get the ogre there on that lane. So once again, there's only 1 ground ogre. If you can kill all of these copter ogres and keep them off the map, you're only going to have 1 ogre per wave to deal with, which just makes things so much easier. We got a physical siren and another electric siren. How we holding up? Let's go ahead and show this guy what's up. We'll switch to our physical weapon, and we'll dish out the pain right here. When you're proton charging these bads, make sure you're aiming in a way that's going to hit the mobs behind you. Oh no, we did have more ogres! Man, it's just so easy to deal with these ogres until you actually start dealing with them. All I had to do was stand there and shoot, for God's sakes. But let's get switched back over to elemental. Oh my god, we got more coming. Let's get rid of these guys. Oof. Yeah, he's outside. And I think that is it. Now, the benefit, of course, of having a buff beam on a wall is it gets that additional damage resistance and additional armor. So having an ogre smacking on your wall is not necessarily the end of the world. You just have to make sure your wall doesn't die. And as you can see, that wall is still pretty damn healthy, so I'm not going to sweat that at all. I am going to switch back over to my physical weapon, and we'll see if we can't beam both of these guys at the same time. Make sure you're aiming in a way where, once again, the pierce is going to work and you're going to hit all the bads. So I want to hit the ogre up here. I want to hit all the enemies behind it. It looks like we've got them all cleared out, actually. So only 400 mobs left. Once again, not the most shining example, but you saw how little damage my wall took, having multiple ogres on it. Now imagine if that was only one ogre, how long you could ignore the damage going on that wall. Just kill the copters, for God's sakes. It's just going to make life so much easier. Now, as you see, if you do have a couple of copters sneak in, it's not the end of the world. They're not going to hit the cores. They're just going to go after walls, and all of our walls, of course, have that buff beam on it for just massive amounts of damage reduction. Oh no! Ooh, almost got yeeted by a spider. The spider yeets have been quite aggressive here lately. See, we got a gen down. How many more mobs? We got another gen down here still floating. Does not look like it. Only 8 mobs left. And let's see what kind of super shiny giraffe the game wants to give me here today. So, where you at? What do we got? One more mob. It's a gen down there. It is burning, though. I'm going to sit here and cross my fingers and pray for some hotness in this box. And here we go. Let's see what we get. Oh, we got crap, man. That's terrible. I can tell already it's not godly just by the beam coming off. Man, I tell you, I have just had terrible giraffe luck here the last few days. There's just no doubt about it. But anyway, there is Glitterhelm. Massacre Hardcore Solo. This is your grind map, y'all. You want to be either grinding bosses or grinding Glitterhelm when it comes to min-maxing in the end game in Dungeon Defenders Awakened. So thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to click that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. I will be back soon with some more Dungeon Defenders and lots of other tower defense games. I've got some fun stuff coming up in the future. Thanks again, y'all. I'll see you next time.